All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Clifford Starks, who is in Phoenix, Arizona. How are you doing, Clifford?
I'm doing amazing. How about yourself?
Yeah, great. And Clifford is a celebrated former UFC fighter, a mixed martial arts or martial arts Hall of Famer. He has mastered the art of turning pressure into a fuel for greatness. From your years in the ring to your work with top entrepreneurs and executives, you understand that true strength comes from conquering inner battles and building unbreakable resilience. And we're going to talk about the fighter's formula to winning in the game of life. And I guess Clifford, you were in mixed martial arts. You're in the UFC. The toughest places to be. In combat sports. Um, just tell me, how were you able to drive yourself to get up every day and say train, or maybe if you're training for an upcoming fight and you're in camp. I mean, those are so demanding, like physically and mentally. How were you able to motivate yourself every day to turn up, for camp and give your best?
Yeah, so my dad actually, I'm perfect for this, and this is why. My dad said I was the hardest, laziest worker he's ever met.
Mhm.
And what has always served me is knowing my desire, knowing
Mhm.
what I'm going after. And when I know what I'm desiring and I know what I'm going after, it makes the actions obtainable and doable. And so I'm always looking towards, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? When I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, then I can take the action.
Yeah, and that's a really important point, because I think um a lot of people don't have that why, or don't ask the purpose about what they're doing. Maybe they just feel like, I'm just showing up every day to work, to make a paycheck, to live, but not really having and that, that's okay and that's fine, obviously, if you need to do that. But when the going gets tough, that you need something a little more in order to drive you than just that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's really interesting because one thing that I've learned as I go through my journey is, are we playing the game that we want to play, or are we playing the game that we think we're supposed to play?
Hmm.
And I even oftentimes have to ask myself that question, because sometimes I don't know it until I think about it. And as I
Right.
think about it, I go, okay, let's pull the layers back and really ask the questions: why am I doing what I'm doing? Do I do it because I want to do it? Or do I do it because I think I'm supposed to do it?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's and absolutely, and I think that's the problem, is oftentimes people, if they sit back and think about it for a moment, they may be living the life that they think people expect of them, as opposed to, living the life that they want to live, and having real purpose in that. Um, and tell me, Clifford, what can people learn also from, like I said, so you go through, excruciatingly long camp, getting ready. You have to do media. You have to get ready for the fight. You have so many demands on you. I mean, you are basically, especially when you were fighting professionally. I mean, you were the product, right? You were your product, and
Mhm.
so. I mean, and that's oftentimes, like, with salespeople and other people, like, they have to carry everything. What advice would you have for people on being able to turn up every day, even under those circumstances, and present the best version of yourself?
The way to present the best version of yourself, this is at least a framework that I've taken on. It's do my best, get better at doing my best, and inspire others to do the same thing. And when I say do my best, like, am I going to give 100%? And what's interesting, it sounds kind of cheesy. Like, yeah, everybody knows they're
Mhm.
supposed to give 100%. And there's no place like the cage that's going to
Right.
train you to give 100%,
Hmm.
because you know what's on the line. These guys
Hmm.
are punching at you, they're kicking at you, they're looking to knee you, they want to take your face off.
Hmm.
So you have no choice. I mean, you do have the choice, but the consequences are so big
Hmm.
that you want to give 100%. And what I've learned as I go through my journey is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Right.
And so I started really incorporating the habits in giving 100% in not only the big things, but the small things too, because they all add up.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important. I'll just underline that it's a really important piece of advice is giving 100%, not just in the big things, but in the small things, because it's often the small things, and that's why, oftentimes when people are maybe struggling at their job, or maybe you're in sales and you're struggling, sometimes it goes back to the fact that you're not giving 100% to the little things. You're not doing the fundamentals. You're not doing, the basic things. Maybe you're taking a few shortcuts. And it's amazing when you go back and look and sort of pay attention to the fundamentals, how things start to fall back into place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look at it's so interesting because our brain is interesting,
Hmm.
right? Like it's really there as a protective mechanism. And if we're looking to thrive and we're trying to protect ourselves at the same time, something has to give.
Hmm.
And as I go through my journey, I go, okay, well, we can actually use our brain to serve us instead of not serve us. And so what I've done, and part of it was by accident too, is I asked myself, what do I want to be remembered as? Like when I'm on my deathbed, what do I want
Hmm.
that to look like? And so that makes the moments that I'm having, all of those moments matter. And
Right.
and now I'm going to take the actions, big or small, to move myself towards the person that I want to be.
Hmm. And one of the other things I think is fascinating, like from the career you've had, is, I mean, I guess when you, as you said, when you step into the cage, I mean, there's nowhere to hide, but also all of the preparation and everything you've done. I mean, that famous Mike Tyson quote or whatever, like everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face or whatever. Um, the same thing, obviously, you can do all the preparation work, you can train, you watch fights from the other fighter, maybe you see them, but when the cage door closes and the fight begins, how much do you need to have that ability to be able to adapt? And because, obviously, when the fight begins, there's probably a few things that's going to surprise you that maybe you weren't anticipating.
So that is an excellent question. And what I will say is you're going to learn about you.
Right.
Some people, they can adapt on the fly like nothing. Some people, they need preparation. They want to prepare it so much that it's almost like it's
Hmm.
a sequence that they can figure out. And some people are a combination of both. And I go, the best way you're going to find out is by going in there and seeing who
Hmm.
you are. Because
Right.
ultimately, you go into the cage to learn about yourself, to understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, then you can do things about it. I don't think
Hmm.
there is a wrong answer. I think there's just the answer that serves people. For me, I would definitely be I'm a combination. So I want to be prepared on what it is that I'm doing. So I want to train prepared.
Hmm.
And I'm looking to adapt because I don't know what's going to happen in that cage. I can't say.
Hmm. Yeah.
And having that combination, it serves me well and it serves my people well. But I also know there's one person he prepares to the T, like to the nuance of
Hmm.
his walkout music, how he's going to feel when he gets in there, all of those things. And it works for him. And some people, it might drive them crazy. They might
Hmm.
absolutely hate it. So I say to people like, well, what would serve best and why does it serve best? And I'll also test out different things like, do you believe that's why it serves or do you believe something else? Or because we got to get into the belief systems
Hmm.
too.
Yeah. And having that kind of having that mental toughness and the resilience to come back, because let's face it, when you go through that and you prepare for a fight and stuff and you win, and it's obviously that's what you're looking to do, and it's great, and you get to hopefully celebrate, and and you fulfilled that milestone. Tell me about the opposite though. Tell me about like when you put all your hardest work in and you prepare, you're feeling good, and then you unfortunately the fight doesn't go your way, or you get, or worse, you I mean, I know you've suffered a knockout or two, you've won plenty of people, knocked out plenty of other people, but I guess it comes to everybody in the end. How much, how hard is it for you to pick yourself up after something like that, especially when you put all the preparation and maybe hasn't gone the way you wanted? How hard is it to pick yourself up and come back after that?
It can be hard in the moment, and it can also be your defining moment too.
Right.
And what I mean by that, when I put in 100% and it didn't go to plan, it sucked. It
Hmm.
didn't feel good. And I got to learn from one of my clients that that was his inspiration because he thought I always won. He
Right.
finally saw me not win, and he saw what I did after I lost. And so there's a time where you're picking yourself back up, and you're putting the pieces back together, and you don't know when that's going to be someone else's inspiration.
Right.
So I go, oh wow, I just have to go out in life and give 100%, and whoever it serves, and whoever it doesn't, it doesn't. Like it did serve me because I got to see who I was. What
Hmm.
happens when Clifford falls down? When Clifford
Yeah.
gets back up.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, I think the important one of the great important lessons there is, as you said, I mean, you inspire other people. So maybe what seems to you is is a down moment. Actually, how you handle yourself in that situation is obviously really important, because in your case, it actually motivates and inspires other people the way you handle that situation.
Yeah, yeah. And I look at like I just look at people going through experiences and situations.
Mhm.
Like I would like to use Mike Tyson as an example. I got a lot of love and respect for him.
Mhm.
And he has such an amazing journey as he's gone through his journey. And he ended up biting Holyfield's ear.
Yeah.
And I look at the situation like that and I go, wow, this is the king of the world. And I don't know what's going through his head. I just know I'm assuming a lot of frustration.
You sure?
And he didn't make the the best choice, but he made the choice in the moment that he knew to make. And it's not to point at him and say, you need to be better than that.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure he already knows that. Like I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
sure like he's not saying to himself, like,
yeah.
I'd do it again. Like, and for him and Holyfield to come together and break bread, and respect one another, that's the journey of life. We're
Mhm.
getting in the arena and sometimes we don't show up in the way that we wanted to. And that's okay. It's a learning experience. It's stepping back, observing it and going like, okay, how do I do this better next time? How do I show up better next time?
Yeah, and I think part of the inspiration for you is that whole idea, is that showing up, like you said, is, I mean, you do all that work. I mean, you walk into the cage doors close behind you. You're pretty much on your own in full view of the world, with nowhere left to hide. Um, what you find out about yourself in that moment, the first time you did that, maybe your first time you stepped in at the UFC and you realized you were at the top of the combat sports game at that point. What was that feeling like for you when you stepped into the cage that time?
Euphoria. It was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great feeling. I would like to call myself a visionary. Like I see things before they're even
Mm.
there, and then
Right.
the actions are just secondary. Um, but I didn't realize how important it is to remind others that they can do the same thing.
Hmm.
They just have to be like, I'm going to act on what I want to create.
Right.
And when you're in it, it's just like it was really cool because my coach was actually shocked when we were walking down the stage. He didn't think we could do it in the time that we did it.
Hmm.
And he's like, how did we do this? And they go, "Coach, you were right alongside with me. Like you got to
Yeah.
see it firsthand." Um, but yeah, it was such an experience. It was a great experience to walk down that and say, "Hey, we pulled it off."
And I guess as part of that too is it's a good reminder for people is when you do hit those kind of milestones, even though yes, you still had a fight to fight, but enjoying that moment of like part of the journey is like I've arrived here now, so taking a moment to actually enjoy that and experience that, because I think too many times we're always looking to the next milestone, and then we achieve it, we just move straight on,
Yeah,
and we're always on to the next one without taking a moment out to smell the roses.
yeah, I've been guilty of that as I've gone through my journey. I and it's fun to me. I mean,
Mhm,
it really was to go like, I achieved this, let's go achieve some more. Ooh, we achieved this, let's go achieve some more. And you, at least for me and my belief systems, I've learned to step back and celebrate it and take it in and then go for more because it's fun.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, most people, wouldn't get to replicate what you do. Like standing in the cage across from somebody, but but there are many situations in people's lives, where they're at a pivotal moment or a really important moment. Like when you're in that moment, like what's your advice to people? Like when you looked across the ring, how did you manage to not sort of look at the other person and go and like have doubts or lose your confidence or go oops, or rewind maybe some of his fights in your mind going, god, I can't believe I'm about to fight this person. But people are in this situation all the time where maybe they're fully prepared, they're fully capable of doing something, but at that pivotal moment they get some doubt.
Use the things that serve you. Our mind is doing all sorts of things all the time, stories, belief systems. And so in that moment, it's about focusing on what serves you and letting go of the rest.
Mhm.
Really, really focusing in on, okay, what's going to serve me most in the moment that I'm in.
Mhm. And I think that's good. That's a good piece of advice, because I think that's kind of taking the external focus out of it maybe and bringing it back to yourself and your own preparation and why they're there and why
Mhm.
you are there. Um, and just out of interest, Clifford, tell me, did you always know the first thing you were going to do, or did you just let the fight unfold? I mean, did you say like when the fight starts, I'm going to immediately try this, or did you just say
So
I'm just going to feel it out?
you're, have you done cold calling ever out of
Yeah,
curiosity?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It feels just like that. Like I remember the first time I cold called, I thought I had a plan
Right,
until
yeah,
until I got into the call. And then there
right.
were times I've been so bad I just hung up on myself because it was just bad. I'm like, I don't, you don't deserve this, sir or ma'am.
That's
uh,
hilarious. Yeah,
yeah, fighting's much the same. It's much the same. Like you think you have a plan, and then everything goes out of plan because, like Mike Tyson says, everyone's
yeah,
got a plan until they get punched in the face. Like it's the
yeah,
truth. And the more you do it, the better you get at it if you're intentional with getting better. And that's really, really important. The intentionality of getting better, because you actually have to admit that you're not as good as you could be to really
hmm,
look at it. And what's interesting, this is I've noticed a lot of people fall into a certain trap. It's very interesting where they'll do something long enough and then they stop improving. And they
right.
think like they've I figured out enough and it's just, and I go, look, I will never have it all figured out ever.
Hmm, yeah,
There's always something new to learn. Always a new way to do things, always a new way to ask questions, always a new way to create insight, always a new way to create transformation, always a new way.
yeah.
And I keep that curious mind, and it's really, really served me as I've gone through my journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a great point, because I do think that sometimes, like I said, we get complacent, or think that we figured it out. And yeah, and the world is changing so rapidly right now that if you're not a continuous learner, and you're not continuously curious, I think if you lose your curiosity, you're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, you're and you're so right that we're getting so much information thrown at us at such a short period of time.
Hmm.
And one of my mentors says there's a difference between knowing something and believing something.
Hmm.
And the beauty of knowing, like, I knew I sucked at cold calls because I did a cold call and I got to see it. I
Right. Yeah.
also
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
to realize how hard it was. It was very interesting.
Hmm.
Like, I'd rather go inside a cage with a killer than
Yeah.
pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And most people would be like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, no, we're playing with this thing on a regular basis. No
Yeah.
matter what we're doing, whether we're picking up a phone, whether we're having a difficult conversation with someone, whether we're getting punched in the face, we're always playing with this thing.
Hmm.
And it will do its best to protect us. And the way it protects us is by, okay, I know enough. Let's not stretch outside of our comfort zone. We know enough.
Yeah.
It's like, no, keep on stretching, keep on
Hmm.
stretching, keep on growing. Why? Because what do you want to see when you get to your deathbed?
Yeah. Well, I hope this inspires those folks out there, particularly those who have to do cold calling and prospecting every day. Just realize there are people like Clifford who prefer to get punched in the face every day than have to be to do that. So realize what a tough job you really have, and and give yourself, if you're putting 150% into your cold calls, like, give yourself the credit that you're doing something that's not easy. It's not easy
Yeah.
at all. And just like the career and the achievements of Clifford, getting your way and being able to walk into the UFC octagon, it's not easy, and not everybody can do it. So give yourself a pat on the back for that too. All of Clifford's information will be below this video. But before we go, Clifford, please do remind people what you do today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, John, one, I want to thank you for having me on. Much appreciated. And to everybody else, to connect with me, it's LinkedIn or Facebook under Clifford Starks. And what I do is I serve high performers and those who are looking to be high performers in their life, in their business, people who want to take it to the next level, people who want a deeper level of transformation. And the way I do that is I take the strategies I've learned in the fight world and
Mhm.
support others through their journey so they can show up fully and just make the world a beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Thank you, Clifford. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.